Shay, my friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shay and today we're here to do my March wrap up. Now, if you don't know what happened in March, I had a snafu with my memory card. I vlogged and I filmed several videos, and unfortunately when I went to, upload them and edit them, they were corrupted. So I decided that was an omen for me to just kind of take the month off from filming and editing and all of the things. So I took a couple of weeks off from that and rather enjoyed myself, spent a lot of time reading. So this was my best reading month in years, which is great. And as far as quantity goes, this was my best reading month in years. I did have 2 5 stars this month. So who are we? So I'm excited. First, let's talk about our wins and the kind of goals that we created. Number 1, I read 17 books this month for a total of 6,801 pages. As far as goals, I read 12 owned books, which was fantastic for me, whittling down that owned book list. I read 4 sequels and I read 3 self-published novels. So go me. I feel like I did a pretty good time in March. Pretty good time hitting those goals. Let's go ahead and talk about what I read. I read so many. I read 17 books that I cannot go into detail about every single book that I read, but I'll tell you a few thoughts that I have about these books. First, if you don't know how to do my wrap-ups, I start with my lowest rated book and I go up to my highest rated book. And in the month of March, I was doing a challenge with my book club that I'm a part of. And because of that, I could not DNF any books or it wouldn't give me any points for the challenges. And so I read some books that I probably would have DNF'd. But let's go ahead and start with number 17, which was the biggest letdown of my entire reading life. And that's going to be A Study in Drowning by Miss Ava Reed. I hated this book actively. I gave it 2 stars because the writing is not bad, but I actively hated this book. It's supposed to be like a dark academia horror kind of story. It doesn't really lean any dark academia to me. None of it really takes place in a school setting. It's just that these are both college students. Our main character is this architect student, I believe, and she is vying for a position to kind of redesign this house that her favorite author built, and now he has died and his family is looking to hire somebody to redo the house. And when she goes, she wins the contest, and when she goes there, she finds another student of their college that's in literature, and he is actually doing a life story, like a memoir biography on this author that has died. So they are teaming up. My problem with this is it's marketed as a YA book. This is not a YA book. This is some very hard-hitting topics. If we think about YA, and I said this in my vlog that I did post, YA range is 12 to 17, and 12 to 17 are like mentally, they're not the same age. They're not even close. And I found a lot of issues with this because I do have an 11-and-a-half-year-old that's about to turn 12, and this would be on the shelves for her to pick up and read. I have an issue with this. This has a lot of heavy, hard-hitting topics such as sexual assault and things of that nature. I couldn't get down with it. I also did not, not that those aren't important topics, but definitely not leaning YA. And I also could not get down with the main character. I thought she was so unlikable, nothing redeemable. I really didn't even like the love interest. So there you have it. I really, this was a huge letdown after giving Juniper and Thorn 5 stars and it being one of my favorite books last year. This was a supreme letdown for me. So I won't be unhauling this, I believe. Coming in at number 16 is one that did not shock me because I've heard nothing but bad things about this book, and that's going to be One by One by Miss Ruth Ware. I went into this with an open mind though, and this is a thriller where this company has taken their employees and they are going on a trip together to these mountains, and we figure out some things about these characters and why they've come to be. And an avalanche occurs and they get snowed in and people start dying. And that's all you need to know about this book. My problem with this is, again, I hated the characters. And number 2, I was like, okay, this is going to be a 3-star. There's nothing really shocking about the whodunit, right? And that's what you go through the whole mystery thriller book for, is to have some twists and turns, to have some shocking moments. And there was none in here. But my problem was the book should have ended, and then I had like 45 minutes left in the audiobook. Why do I have 45 minutes left of this audio. So I was like, is there another twist coming? Ooh, is there another twist coming? No. It just, it just kept going for no apparent reason. So would not recommend. I have liked some of Ruth Ware's other works and I will continue to read her, but this was definitely not it. Coming in at number 15 is finally a book I do not own, and that's going to be The Blade of Secrets by Tricia Levenseller. Now, this is a YA fantasy book, and this again reiterates to me why I don't read YA fantasy. I think I will continue on in this duology, and I did give this one 3 stars at least. This starts my 3-star reads. The characters read young. It was super, super cheesy. Super cheesy. We are following this world where there are some magic people. Some people believe magic people are evil. Some people don't. But our main character, she has the ability to put magic into weapons. And her sister doesn't have magic, but their parents have died, and so she kind of makes a living for them by, people consult her to make the magic weapons, and she does it. And one day, somebody consults her to make a magic weapon, and the magic weapon, basically she can hear people's secrets when she wields this, and she hears these secrets of this woman that she has made the weapon for that say she's basically going to destroy the world with a weapon. So that's obviously not a good thing. So she takes and runs, and there's a whole, it's like a chase kind of thing. My problem with this is I am confused as to why any world would let somebody just willy-nilly make magic weapons that can do anything that you want it to do. That was my first problem. Like, no, this would not happen. Like, what do you mean? And it read so young. It was so cheesy. The love interests were so cheesy. Insta-love, like, whatever. It wasn't my thing. But I did give it 3 stars. I didn't like Tricia Levenseller's other work, The Daughter of the Pirate King. I didn't like that series either. I did like The Shadows Between Us, but I didn't like the other one. Coming in at number 14 is another 3-star read, which kind of I was expecting because this one also gets very, very mediocre reviews. And that's going to be The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Mr. Brandon Sanderson. So I've heard a lot of mixed things about this one. This is about a guy who lives in a world where basically you can buy a world and you can go into it and you can do whatever you want to, and they have that kind of technology where you can, like, infinite universes, multiverses type thing, and you can buy a multiverse, whatever, and go do whatever you want to with it. And this guy drops into this, and there's some things that ensue. I just didn't feel invested in the characters. I didn't feel invested in the plot. I just found myself not caring, and that was the problem with this one. Coming in at number 13 was An Education in Malice, which is still, I'm still my 3-star read error by S.T. Gibson. Now, I read A Dowry of Blood and quite liked it. I didn't understand the full hype of it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I liked it. This one I actively almost despise. Honestly, you could almost say that I would give it 2 stars. But I didn't give it 2 stars because some of it was redeemable, but I didn't like any of these characters. I can't tell you much about the book. It's following Carmilla, and we're in the Gothic setting, and there's a sapphic relationship, and there's vampires, and there is an inappropriate vampire, taking advantage of young students. That's cringe. There is, it's cringe to me. The whole vampire thing was cringe. The sexual content in it was cringe to me. I mean, to each their own, but to me it was cringe, and I had nothing else to say about that one. Coming in at number 12 is The Goal by L. Kennedy. Now, keep in mind, I was reading very, very short books that would kind of propel me to continue to read throughout the month. So this one is, I think, the 4th book in the Off-Campus series by L. Kennedy. So it didn't complete a series. I still have one more book in the series, but it moved me along in the series. And this was just okay. It was a one-night stand turned lovers turned surprise pregnancy. If that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But it was just fun. Nothing to write home about. Coming in at number 11 was The Heiress by Miss Rachel Hawkins, which came out, I believe, in January. Let's see. What can I say about this one? This was a mystery thriller to me that did not have that many twists and turns. I don't want to talk too much about it. I did vlog this book if you're interested in any of my further thoughts on this, but it was just fine. I gave it 3 stars. It was not very twisty-turny in my eyes. I knew what was going on from the jump. Coming in at number 10 is The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan. This is a sci-fi fantasy book. It's one of the Spiffo 9 finalists, which is why I read it. And overall, I enjoyed my time with it. I think that there was some pacing issues in the book. I didn't really connect with the characters. I felt some of the plot things that were used in this was not my jive. It was fine. It was about this brother who has left his family. He has run away, and they were royalty, and his father, the king, dies, and his sister has is going to be the heir, right? And so he is summoned back by his family, and it's a very weird, strange world where he imbues himself with magic by taking injections, and also he there's like, they have to wear masks because they breathe in the ghosts. I thought the things were intriguing, but I didn't think the world building was done quite enough for my taste. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about the world, and instead I got just a lot of characters and plots with no why behind it, and so there's that. But if you like things like that, maybe if you like a character and you don't care about the why, maybe that book is for you. Coming in at number 9 is The Hol Places by Miss T. Kingfisher. This was my second T. Kingfisher novel, and I quite enjoyed it. 3 stars. This is about a woman who moves back in with her uncle after a divorce, and she finds like a hole in the wall to a separate dimension kind of like thing in his store, and I really liked it. I thought there could have been more to it. I was more intrigued about the world, and the horror elements of it didn't quite lean as much into how far I wanted it to go. It did lean into enough horror for me, but overall I really did enjoy my time. I just wanted a little bit more out of it. Coming in at number 8 is A Rival Most Vile by Miss R.K. Ashwick, and this book also is competing against Biffbo 9. I quite enjoyed my time with this. This is a male cozy fantasy romance about a potion maker who, this rival potion maker moves in next door, and of course the townspeople, and you're supposed to get this found family vibe, and they're supposed to fall in love. The problem with this book, it got 3 stars for me. The problem with this is it was too cozy and not enough plot for me. It was insta-lovey. I felt like this was marketed as enemies to lovers, but while they do have a rivalry going, it's only up for like 5 seconds, and then it's lovers. So overall though, if you like a cozy male romance, pick this one up. It was a good time. Coming in at number 7 was Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Miss Shauna Lawless. And I've heard so much wonderful things about this. This is my last 3-star read. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think that my problem is in Norse inspired mythology, they all have the same names, and so I had like all the characters of the last kingdom in my head, and then I had to learn to separate them. But once I did, I still enjoyed the story, but basically we're following multiple characters, but one of the characters we're following is this mom of this boy, and she wants him to rise up and be king. The problem is that she is an immortal that has this fire magic, and there are people that also have a different kind of magic that are hunting her down, and yada yada yada, lots of war, fighting peoples, politics. If you like that kind of thing, maybe this is for you. I do plan on continuing on in the series. Coming in at number 6 is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, which I truly did enjoy this one. So this is a book that is following this romance author who really honestly has failed to find love herself, and she's struggling to write a book. So she goes into this kind of dating show, and it's really a bachelorette kind of show, except nobody's getting married at the end, and falls in love unexpectedly with somebody else. It was very, very cute. Coming in at number 5 is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Miss Carissa Broadman. Now, this one got 4 stars for me. I could have dropped it down to a 3, and mostly that's because of expectation. Everybody and their dogs love this book. I found it just fine. I liked the ending, the second half, better than the first half. The first half, I felt very disconnected from the characters, very simplistic writing style. The main character annoyed me, but she redeemed herself in the second half of the book, and I could not put the second half of the book down, if that makes any sense. So we are following a human that has been raised by the vampire, and her father, vampire, is basically the king of this certain kingdom, and she's going into a competition with other vampires to and whoever wins gets to ask one favor of the goddess. And so we see them in these trials to the death, and it's just interesting. There were some twists and turns that happened in the book, and that we need to resolve in the second book. So I will be continuing on in the second book in the series, hopefully sometime soon. Coming in at number 4 is Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. I enjoyed this book. I've had it on my radar, on my shelves for quite some time, and finally got around to it. This is a sci-fi book about a girl whose ship goes boom in a war, and she wakes up 200 and something years in the future, and basically she is on this ship with this AI, and the only companion she has is this AI, and she finds out that, hey, I'm 237 years in the future. So we have that timeline, and then we're following a different timeline of her brother, basically when her ship goes boom. So we're following 2 different timelines. There's some twists and some turns in here, and I really, really enjoyed overall what this book did. I enjoyed Megan O'Keefe's writing style, and I'm looking forward to continuing on in the series sometime soon. Coming in at number 3 is my last 3-star read, which is Sins of the Mother by Rob J. Hayes. I am almost on the last book in this series. This is the 4th installment in his War Eternals series. I loved this installment. Aggressively, I have felt like, oh, this book is a 3. I kind of don't want to continue on, but then when I get to read the next book, I'm like, ooh, I'm intrigued. But then I get the next book, oh, I don't really have any inkling to want to continue on, but then I get it and I enjoy it. And I don't know why I continue to do these on these books, because I enjoyed the heck out of my time with this book. We are vaulted kind of in the future after the first trilogy. We are some time has passed and we are in the future, and I just significantly love the twists and turns in this installment. This is probably one of my favorite installments of the series. The second book is my favorite installment of the series, and then this is a close second. Now we're going to move on to my 2 5-star reads of the month, and coming in at number 2 is going to be The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. I vlogged this. I have the beautiful Fairy Loot edition. I know that everybody hates this book. I'm just weird. I liked it. It was my kind of ethereal, atmospheric read. It didn't have to have a lot of plot to it. I just enjoyed being in the world and being in the characters' heads. And so I did vlog this book, so I'm going to leave that vlog up here down in the comments below. Check it out if you want to hear more of my thoughts, but I really, really, really enjoyed this book, and I'm happy to have this beautiful, stunning edition. And finally, coming in at number 1, I finally read this book, and I kept putting it off forever. I don't know why. I kept hearing people say it didn't live up to the first book that she wrote, and I was terrified to pick it up because I was scared that I was going to fall into that camp. I did not. This was a 5-star read for me. This is my favorite book of the month, and that's going to be Ocean's Echo by Verena Maxwell. This is the companion novel to Winter's Orbit, which I also gave 5 stars and loved it. So this sealed Verena Maxwell's journey to being one of my favorite authors, and an auto-buy author at that. I love her writing style. I love the way she writes her characters, and I love the romances. This is a sci-fi male romance. Now this is a little bit more politic heavy than the first one, but I don't mind. I like a sci-fi read. I don't come here just for the romance. I like the fact that it had politics, it had things going on for it. I loved this. So basically we're following a society where there are people that can read minds, and then there are people that can control people. Our main character can read minds. And that's not a very good thing, because obviously people don't want people to read their minds. And so he is tasked with basically being written. And what being written is, he gets attached to this male counterpart who writes him so that he can no longer read people, and he has to do what they say. And some politicking ensues, some wars ensue, some drama craziness ensues, and I was all here for it. I loved both of our main characters in this male romance. I loved them together, period. I just absolutely positively love my time with this, and I think that if you like sci-fi, if you like romance, like, pick this one up along with Winter's Orbit, because that was fantastic as well. Alright, that was a lot of books, that was a lot of talking, and now my mouth is parched. Whew! What did you guys read in the month of March? Have you read any of these books? Did you like any of them? Did you hate them? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.